Hey y'all, I'm Carolina Tony. Today we are in Idaho and we are at that historic Chesterfield. This was a town that started around 1880. Today it is known as a ghost town. So we are going to explore around and just find out what is in and what is left of Chesterfield, Idaho. And we'll get started right after this station identification.
This in the church house prior to that. But with that, they, put into
Chesterfield, Idaho was first settled in 1879 by Chester Call, an LDS bishop from Bountiful, Utah, and Christian Nielsen, his nephew. Church leaders from Utah visited in 1882, recommended the location for the town site, and directed laying out a town. Brother Call encouraged others from Utah to join him, and the community flourished until the mid-1920s. This is the Holbrook Mercantile in Chesterfield, Idaho. This is where the owner of the store, he was also the bishop of the church, and right across the street in that brick building, that was called a tithing office. That's where I guess they would keep up with everybody's money that they gave to the church. It boasted a population of more than 400. However, harsh frontier conditions eventually caused the population of the settlement to dwindle to zero. The community was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1980, and this town remains one of the best preserved colonies among some 500 established by leaders of the LDS. So this was the original cabin. A family lived in here. Father, mother, and their children. Dirt floor. There's a side roof. So here is a picture of Ruth that actually lived here, and here is her husband, James Henry. This back portion, this was the original cabin where Ruth and Henry and her and their children lived. You see the side roof.
Well, we're from Cheraw.
This is the Higgins Holbrook home. I'll be honest with you, I don't know if people live here or not. A lot of old farm machinery left out here. A lot of old buildings. So this house was built 1903?
1903.
There's a recipe book. Stove. Said when it was originally built, they did have a clawfoot tub in it, but was not running water or a toilet. They would actually pour the water into the tub and dump the water out through the floor and onto the ground. There's a early wash machine. And you know what that was? That's where ladies got permanents back in the probably 1920s. Here, there's solid brick. Here, brick. So all the interior walls appear to be brick covered in stucco.
Oh, this is to keep people out of the parlor.
Let's walk upstairs. This is the nursery, and if you look at the floor, it looks like linoleum, but it's not. It is painted. So the floor on the nursery is actually painted. It smells old. That well. I wonder if there's still water in it. I'll take a look. It's deep. I believe they told us that it was the 1980s when the last people lived here in Chesterfield. The house was built in 1893. It's the largest house that's here in Chesterfield.
So the north end of the valley, so from the railroad track this way, I estimate that in the early 1900s there were at least 700 people. Here in the town site itself there were not that many because most people lived on their farms.
This section of the Ruger Dugout Home has actually been recreated. That when they started working on it, it had caved in, but they built it back pretty close to what it would have looked like originally. The cabin, of course, is original.
That's one of the insulation.
That's a benefit. Wow.
There they are, Adrian and Catherine and
He did. So
Eugene.
in fact,
Ruger.
we kind of just learned the other day that
They were actually the folks that built this house. There's the door where you come up through the dugout.
Oh my goodness.
So this is a pretty common style bed.
There's
We'll
another
go around with it.
picture of Adrian and Catherine Ruger
Kids like to crawl up through there, but
and little Willie. This is the church here in Chesterfield, Idaho. So it was dedicated. It was dedicated August the 23rd, 1892. Well, I was just wrong on the last little clip. That was not the church. That was the school. This is the church, 1895. That is going to be a wrap for our trip to Chesterfield, Idaho. I saw on the internet mentioned a ghost town out in the middle of nowhere with abandoned buildings, and hey, you know, I'm all about that. When we got here, it wound up being just a little different than what I thought. Abandoned buildings out in the middle of nowhere, but they had a tour. So imagine that. Definitely want to take advantage of a tour when we can. It does limit a little bit what we are able to do when we're making a video, but I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you did, be sure to share it with your family and friends. And if you hadn't yet subscribed, please do that if you will. Also, ring that bell so you'll be notified every time we put a video out, which is always on Mondays and Fridays and sometimes in between. Having said all of that, y'all have a good day.